Space Warriors. Everyone have their battle dress on. Hello, Kareem, Kevin, Patrick, Zig, everyone else. I know you guys have heard me say this many times over the years. Don't bet on a reaction on the NFP, react to the reaction. Also, if you have positions on and you're in the green, take half. And if the news moves against you on that position, you could always recommit. Also, if you're down on a trade going into a number, I've been there, and hoping that the NFP bails you out of your position, it's not a real high probability strategy. Everyone with me? Give me a Y if you are. So I guarantee you the market will be here after the NFP. Make sure your equity is. All right, Amanda. Amanda, now part of our team, moderating the trading room. Couldn't have found a better person to do it. I've been watching Amanda's calls for a while. She's top drawer. Okay, everyone. So this week I'm officially declaring it Greg Horvat week. Okay. You guys could say, oh, Dale, you're a fan. I plead guilty. I'm a fan of Greg's. And there are many reasons why. Not that I'm not a fan of everyone on the team, but Greg really nailed everything this week. He diagnosed this being the top of 2 early in the week in cable. So we're in a 3, and I'm not an Elliotician, but 3s and C's are money waves to me, because they're normally a fib extension of 1 or A. So plenty left. You know, you get some type of dollar weakness in the pound. You may want to consider selling rallies to be there, because he's looking for, looks like the 127 handle at least on this. Okay, and then yesterday live, another prime example why I'm declaring it Greg Horvat week. I don't know if he's here, probably be embarrassed, but live yesterday, called the short and Aussie. So even from yesterday's show, big trade. If you took it, take half, just in case the NFP disappoints. Everyone with me on that? Okay. I'd recommend the same for anyone that took me seriously, shorting Euro Swiss at the 61.8 level up here. There are multiple opportunities since I've been talking about it. Yesterday before we went home, I said we needed to close under 25. That's where it held for another pop. Now we're threatening the 200-day. Underneath this, I think we could accelerate to the downside. So not a lot for me to talk about before the number. Plenty of things I believe will occur. Max leverage, yeah. Use no leverage into the NFP is my advice. So looking forward to this event. I love NFP Fridays. I also love Fridays for new subscribers to come in and have a traffic light page. So you're not running red lights next week. You need to have this traffic light page. You also have the whole weekend to learn how to navigate the site. I also recommend 6 months so that after our free webinar ends, and you know, let's face it, you're making money being in our free webinar following the team. A lot of great calls made by the whole team all week long. But if you're an action junkie like me, an hour of analysis would not be enough for you, and a half an hour interview. So you want to get into our private chat room. I call it Blake's Lounge, and Amanda's now our bouncer. So even though she's a female, don't push her. She's pretty tough, because you have to be tough to trade. At least your spirit has to be tough. You have to be a warrior. So that's about what all I have for right now. I want to give Blake some time before the number, see if Blake has some ideas. But you can always just click the link right there, ForexAnalytix.com. And if you haven't tried it, risk $1 for a 10-day trial. and that's an investment in you. Doesn't make us rich, but we have to invest in ourselves. Great RR, Luca. Okay, long in the IBEX. Thank you, Luca. So let's have a great day. I want to thank everyone for your loyalty and your attendance here in our free room. And our mission is to build up and edify traders every day. It's my belief as well as my hope that we're accomplishing that every day. Give me a Y if you become a better trader, analyst, or have a better feel for the market since joining FACE in the last 7 months. Should be a few Y's out there. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, we're glad for that. We're glad for you, all of you. Blake, you around, buddy?
I'm here, man.
Okay, bro. So here we go. Great week. It's okay that I declared it Gregor Horvat week, isn't it?
Of course, he's
all right.
Gregor Horvat, man.
Yeah.
I love his Elliott Wave work.
Yeah.
We're proud to have him on the team. This has been, speaking of like the week. I mean, you want to talk about actually a really kind of challenging week in the market. I say challenging because the lack of volatility in the FX market has been, I mean, pretty apparent. You have this is the euro dollar. I mean, and you can see that, we started the week. We basically started the week, right here, and we have just drifted in the euro dollar. I mean, if you see, you look at like a weekly candle here, and let me see if I can. This is zooming in, obviously, as much as I can.
Neutral inside week and pretty small range.
Yeah, small week inside range. Now that doesn't mean that today can't be a breakout by any stretch of the means, but I mean we've basically been in less than about 100 pip trading range, really tight. Building this, I mean, this flag's like overextended itself. I mean, if it's going to move, it's got to move like today. Whenever I look at like flag formations, like this would be a flag formation. If the flag itself, the flag exceeds more than 50% of the pole, which in this case it's probably around 50 to maybe even 60%, then I don't really regard it as a flag anymore. But I mean,
time,
obviously.
Blake, or are you talking about in time?
No, in time and price. Okay. Yeah, in price. So so obviously, we're just slowly, making or developing this flag. Now, I don't know if we're going to actually break down, but I think if we're going to break down, this would be the day. We a lot of people are looking at this jobs number at 300,000 jobs and saying, man, that's a big number, but it really isn't. I mean, if you think about like all the jobs that were probably let go over the storms that we had in Houston and in Florida, and the rehires because of that, I don't think that number is really too far-fetched. And then we're going into seasonal hiring. Now I don't know if that would have really taken place in October. Probably be more of a November effect, but heck, I don't know about you, but you can go into some of these retail stores and you're going to see Christmas stuff up already, and you might have already this last month. So seasonal hiring can come into play as well. On top of that, having relatively full employment, we're not expecting a real big drop in employment either. Off of if there was no storm, it'd probably be around 150,000 jobs being created. So I really don't think that this number is too far-fetched. So will we make will we create 300,000 jobs? I think it's possible. I think the the unemployment rate coming in at 4.2%, I think that's the more important number. If we start seeing that unemployment rate tick higher, that's going to be a little problematic. But the dollar, I'm sorry?
underneath the surface, wages.
And wages too. I mean, yeah, obviously the wage growth has to stay positive, and we're expecting 0.2% versus a 0.5% reading from last month. But as long as they continue to stay relatively positive, that's going to be good. Now, I think the dollar is pretty well boxed in. I mean, the good news is it's defined, and being able to react, I think, is going to be pretty much the way to go. I mean, I actually had to take the pattern in play that I had on the dollar yen. I had to pull that off because there's just too much risk, even though I think that the dollar yen is up against really key resistance. One of the things that I'd really like to do, and let me delete this. So I've had this on here like all week long, and I'm just going to delete it. What I'd really like to do and really like to see here, Dale, is I'd like to see a beat, a non-farm payroll beat, and I'd like to see the dollar yen break above this resistance at 114.50 and really get to this 114.80 or so, and then I would sell it if we can get up there. I just if we have some bunker strong number, I'd love to see that, and I'd love to see a rip above that resistance and selling the strength. And that's really the only trade that I'm looking at today. If we have,
where's your bull bear line on that, line in the sand on that?
It's really
close. You need to close above it, right?
115. Yeah, we got to close above 115. I mean, if you look at this, major formation here, we just got to really get above 114. I know Adam Button from Forex Live yesterday was talking about this 114.50. I mean, this is big resistance up here, but the way I look at it is the market can push the stops right above this resistance, clear out all of the shorts, and then get us to 114.80, 50, and then then what it does from there is we'll see. I think it's going to be very pivotal. Like I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yawn. It's Friday, and by the time
how were those baseball games last night?
Oh no, my son had my son had baseball. His first baseball practice is my older son is his first baseball practice, but it's good. The weather here is perfect now, so it's evenings. It's gorgeous. But anyway, so I'm looking for hopefully a strong number pushes us above here. Now, the flip side is, what does a strong number do to the euro dollar? And the euro dollar has got a nice bear flag pattern. As we've been talking about, it's got a nice bear flag pattern that could develop into something really great. The pound's seen a bounce off. Now this is really key, guys. I want to point this out. The pound bounced off of this major trend line. I don't know if it's going to hold, but if we have a strong number, could the pound actually break down here? I think it's entirely possible that we break lower, and once we break 130, then that opens all sorts of here, I'm going to grab my pen. That opens all sorts of possibilities down to the mid 120s again, and that's something that I'm paying very close attention to, especially once we get if we get down here. The 200-day moving average is right through here. There's a lot of things that I think we should be looking at. Should we get down there? Should the pound get down there? I think the pound is obviously at a disadvantage if you have a strong number.
What do you do with EG now, buddy? After the pound, I'm curious. I think it held yesterday. Look at that.
First of all, remember the 200-day moving average, and I closed out my position. I went long, I closed out my short, made a little money, went long, scalped it out a little bit, and then obviously in retrospect, I'm like, why didn't I knew that we were going to test that 200-day moving average. Why didn't I just hold it? And I didn't, which is
trading.
it's trading. You know, of course, I wasn't going to hold the euro pound going through the Bank of England. I was hoping for a different result. I was hoping that, you know, the BOE was going to be a little bit more hawkish and actually push us through this 200-day moving average and put these levels back into play down here. That's what I was hoping. I was hoping I was going to get to short and we were going to go the opposite direction, and that just didn't happen. What do you do with it from here? I don't know. I mean, we came up and, you know, challenged the underside of this you know, broken trend line over here, and it's very sloppy. I don't know what to do with it, and I don't want to be, you know, I don't necessarily want to be long, but you know, the euro pound, that's not like my intention.
Oh, look at that.
But yeah, I mean, if the pound actually breaks down, I mean, this euro pound could really expose, you know, back up towards 91 pence. I mean, it's entirely possible. So I don't want to write it off completely. I'm just not. I just don't know what to do with it, because it didn't play out the way that I had planned. So now I have to re-engineer a plan on how I want to trade this, and I just don't know. I just don't know what I want to do.
You know what's great about not knowing after being in this business for a while? If you're patient, eventually you will know again.
Yeah, yeah. That's, you know, trading plans and ideas, they come out of thin air, you know, throughout the course of the day or the week, because whether it's price action that converts you into thinking something might happen, or, you know, a news event like non-farm payroll, or a shift in central bank activity and policy changes that shift the way that you think, then those trade ideas will develop. Like I said, I had hoped the Bank of England was going to do a hawkish hike. They would, you know, set the stage for more hikes in 2018, which obviously wasn't the case. But I was prepared to take advantage of that. And unfortunately, I went the other way, and I'm like, well, now that you got to scratch that idea and then, you know, kind of go back to the drawing board and see what else that you might find. Like, for example, you know, the Aussie. Okay, so the Aussie, we had weak retail sales, and Aussie, by the way, has been, I have to say, has been very, from a basic technical perspective, it has been very well behaved. Because if you look,
classic stuff. Yeah.
It has been, because if you look at this support, acted as resistance. Yeah. We had a multiple fib confluence right here. Okay, the 161% extension and the 618. So the 618 is from, you know, this high over here to the low way down over here, which I don't have pictured at the moment. And then the 161% extension is of this move from here to here to here. So we have, it's been very, very well behaved, and now we got this flag pattern, right? Well, let's say the dollar does, you know, we have a good number. Let's just say it does. All right, we got a good number. The dollar benefits from it. The euro dollar breaks down. The Aussie, the US dollar Japanese yen breaks out, and it holds, you know, its gains. And the Aussie, you know, starts this flag pattern. Well, next week we have, you know, the RBA decision as well. So, you know, when you start seeing this flag pattern develop, and you have the RBA next week, you know, maybe the RBA leans into, you know, more of a dovish stance, and that, you know, allows the Aussie dollar to come, you know, down to these prices, you know, late next week. Those are things that I'm thinking about ahead of time, not necessarily what's happening right now at this moment. So, you know, well, you know, obviously the charts are developing at this moment. I'm just trying to, you know, to set the stage for something that might happen next week. And again, that's me just thinking out loud and developing some sort of plan on what to do with the Aussie per se, you know. Another currency pair that we should look at ahead of the jobs report is we should look at the Canadian, the dollar Canadian, and this is one that again, this is a very similar situation. I don't know what to do with it at this point. You know, the move above 127 right around here was pretty well defined. It's like, okay, I knew once we squeezed above this resistance, we were going to start squeezing. That happened. I knew, and if you've read the analysis of ForexAnalytix, this 50% retracement, this previous support, which is current resistance around the 130. I thought it was going to be very sticky. I thought we were going to actually surge just one last move up there to test the underside of this, previous support. But we didn't. We just didn't do it. But now we're kind of boxed in. And Canada, has their jobs report as well, and Canada and trade balance too. On top of that, they're expected to gain a few jobs. But if we get a strong U.S. jobs report and a weak Canadian jobs report, that we could test the upper end of this, of this trading range.
That second drive up there, Blake, has given bears hope, and because they didn't take out the first one. So, I mean, we could still take those highs out. I'm sure there's a ton of stops from people trying to top pick.
Exactly. So this is a very similar situation to the dollar yen. If we can get a move up towards 130, I'd be a seller up there if we can get it. Obviously, if the numbers aren't ridiculous. I mean, if you get Canada, losing 40,000 jobs, I mean, that would be the equivalent of us, losing, 200,000 jobs. That would be like a, oh my God, what happened to Canada type of situation, which I don't necessarily think is going to be the case. It just, I think it's important that we watch price action. Can the U.S. dollar Canadian spike above that resistance, especially on a strong, even if it's just a strong U.S. jobs number, and if we get a strong U.S. jobs number and a mediocre Canadian number, I mean, that might be a trade that I'm willing to do. That for me, that's something that I'd be willing to consider. But we're going to be covering this live. I don't have any dollar exposure right now, going into this number. So it's going to be interesting to see the reaction. And again, I'm personally going to be looking for a situation where the dollar spikes higher into the data, and I'm hoping the dollar yen makes a stab towards 114, 114.50, 114.70 is what I'm really hoping happens. I just don't know if that's going to necessarily be the case today. So let's take a look at a couple of these other pairs. One of the other pairs that I've been paying pretty close attention to is this U.S. dollar Swedish krona. We are approaching a pretty key resistance. This is you have to think longer term here. Here's the U.S. dollar Swedish krona, and this is from a basic technical analysis perspective, this has been a pretty solid moving currency. And we are, we're closing in on a daily, pretty key trend line, and then also the 618's just above. Oh wait, that's not correct. I gotta take that back. That's not correct. We just have this. That was from a retracement. We're approaching this this trend line, and also the inverted head and shoulder pattern completion should be somewhere up there. So let's actually. I had this before, so let's go ahead and drop this down. See, there's the 38% retracement that comes in pretty darn close to this trend line. And let's see from this last move. The 618 is really close too. So we have, a couple fibs that come into play just around this trend line. So one more stab higher in the US dollar Swedish krona might also expose a move for a reversal type of situation. And again, I'm looking for a strong number, but maybe there's something in there that leads me to believe that maybe the number is not quite as strong as the headline number is. Maybe the headline number is strong, but the unemployment rate ticked higher, or something like that gives us the ability to spike higher and then reverse. So those are, those are just some things that I'm thinking about. On a just a really strong, outright strong number, I think, the possibility of the euro dollar making its way lower is great. Speaking of the euro, let's go back here, because I should revisit this. So yesterday, what we did is we probed, and matter of fact, I scalped the euro and happened to make a little bit of money right here. In that
we were live when that happened. You said it was a good area to try it up there. And, I was wrong. I didn't think we'd get back to the breakdown, and that was right there.
No, this spike didn't happen while we were live. Right, this spike actually happened while I was off air, or it might have been while Steve or them were on.
Oh, okay.
But what I did is I bought no, it was after the fact. It was because I was in the chat room, and
okay.
It looked like it was going to break out, and I bought it at like 116.68 right here, and I sold it at like 80, like right here. Yeah. And I made a few bucks scalping it on the long side because I thought it was going to trip some stops up here, which it did. But I wasn't sure if it was going to reverse. But now the reason why this is very important to me is because if we get above yesterday's spike high, that means the dollar's, the dollar is gonna, it's gonna have some problem. If the euro dollar breaks yesterday's highs, that means this dollar number is weak. That would confirm to me I should be shorting dollar yen. I should be looking maybe for the US dollar Swedish krona as a reversal. Those are the types of things that I'll be thinking about if we have like just an overall weak number, like weak headline number, unemployment rate is higher, the average hourly earnings drop more than expected. If it's an overall just a horrendous number, then the euro dollar, if it clears yesterday's highs, then that means this is going to catch a lot of people off guard, because there's so many people that are long the dollar right now, trying to trade this head and shoulder pattern, that they're going to get that big reversal on them, and I'll play into that too. I'll play into a move above 117 to maybe 117, I don't know, 20 or 30 or 40, even if it's just a 30 or 40 pip scalp, from here to here. If it's just a scalp from here to here, I'll do that. Hey, Dale, can you hold on 1 second?
Sure, buddy.
Or maybe you can make a couple of comments just really fast.
Okay, and Nick is here too. Just wanted to let you know. So here we're about 2 minutes away. Everyone ready? So what you need to do is, do you see how Blake has mental scenarios for what he's going to do? So it's really an excellent way, and he didn't just think about it today. All right, he was thinking about it all the time. If it does this, I'll do that. If it does that, I'll do this. So we're a couple minutes away from the number. If you're not prepared, and there's no law that you have to trade on an NFP day. I mean, I know some very good traders like Valeria Birdneck from FX Street. She will not even trade this day. She wants things to reset into the following week, and that's fine. We have these T-shirts, FOMO. I guarantee you, if you do nothing today, the market will be here Monday. So, today's a day where the algos have a lot of fun looking for liquidity, stop hunts all over the board. So, it's okay, Forex Gal, to sit on your hands. That's a position too, okay? And wait for things to reset. My belief on Fridays, whatever kind of week an instrument had, going into the close on Friday, normally follow through into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, if you're the type of trader like I am, looking to fade everything. So
all right, here we go.
Don't feel the pressure. Here we go. Okay to be a spectator.
Yep. I have no problem being a spectator here. Wow, that's a bad number. Bad number. Hold on.
261, 4.2 unemployment.
Unemployment.
Yeah, 4.2 is okay. What the average hourly earnings?
4.1 unemployment. It dropped.
That's what you were worried about, Blake, that if it came in like the employment number. So,
No. But unemployment,
Canadian
yes.
unemployment beat expectations, doubled actually expectations.
Yeah.
So unemployment rate's better. I mean, I would almost sell the euro dollar up here. I haven't sold the euro dollar, but
Also, average hourly earnings in the US was 0%, expected 0.2, so that's pretty weak as well.
Yeah. Annualized
okay.
2.4 in comparison to 2.7.
I haven't done anything.
Mostly the unemployment rate drop is due to another step down in labor force participation, 62.7 from 63.1.
Got it.
Wow, yeah, that's big actually.
well, I've discovered something today. Euro Swiss is a safe pair to trade even on a red number. It's doing nothing. You need the patience of the same.
Absolutely.
So we're getting close. We're getting close to that support here in the dollar yen.
See, who could have called this one?
Well,
Personal expectation is that the market is going to ignore the NFP print quite soon. I mean, 261 in comparison to 300,000 and something expected. I think they will still they will still pin it on unexpected rate of recovery after the hurricane, which in essence is also correct.
I sold the euro at 78, by the way. Just
I think it's a good
while you
trade.
were talking. So
Yeah, pound is fading too.
yeah, I mean,
Dollar.
well, even if I can just scalp it for a little bit, I mean, even if if it gets back down to the mid 60s, I just don't, Yeah, that's because see the euro dollar, what it did is it just tried to take some stops above those highs.
Yeah.
So
USD CAD probably the biggest in reaction because the Canadian also overperformed. The Canadian data overperformed.
And it did. But their trade balance was bad. I was just looking, their unemployment rate was worse than expected.
Participation rate ticked up as well for CAD as well, so it's
that's why the unemployment was worse, because participation rate increased there.
Got it. Okay. Hey, look at stocks. Stocks are just screaming now. Look at the NASDAQ is just blowing up higher.
any
Wow.
excuse to go higher.
Any excuse to go higher is right, Stelios. Any excuse. Euro dollars at highs. Yeah. I mean, that was a pretty. I mean, if you look at it though, like average hourly earnings, that really is the killer. Even though unemployment rate improved, that average hourly earnings just shows you how little inflation that we have. And that is the Fed's continued issue. You know what I mean? So, see what the pound. Ooh, the pound just ripped up pretty good too. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sitting in my euro dollar short. I don't really have a problem with being short the euro at this point, but I might just close it out and try to take a couple pips off. But I mean, what else do you do up here? It's kind of
Dixie, a major support. It's been here twice before. So maybe they can.
Treasuries are pushing higher again.
That was my analysis pre NFP. If you use ForexAnalytix, I mean, it's just we're just basically tagging support as well.
Maybe Nick has ideas.
Yeah, let's see. Is Nick
I
around?
like the pat. I'm here. I like the pat. I have to say that for me, from the start of October, from the 13th of October, that's an ABC down in the pound, and equal measured move in pound dollar. So I think that one potentially, after shaking everybody out yesterday, plus it's also a really long trend line support in the pound. I think the pound has possibilities to go much higher because of that ABC correction into it. I think it comes in around 130.
Hey Nick, can you show us that, because I'd like to see what you're seeing, because I personally don't see it. That's why I wanted to ask.
Yeah, sure. All
right, here, let me flip it on over to you. Yeah, it's coming.
Hey Nick, nice to hear your voice.
Hello, which screen? Can you see a chart or is it a black screen?
We can see the connected to go to webinar.
Okay, that one. Okay, just hold on one.
Did you sleep last night, Steve?
Can you see the chart now? No.
So Dale. A blue screen.
Okay. So sorry, hold on. Have you got a chart now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is a 4-hour chart of the pound. So this clearly was 2 waves up, or that wasn't quite an equal measured move, and it was annoying because it didn't quite reach. It stopped at the 50% retrace of the decline, so that kind of kept it bearish. But then this was a shark pattern. That's what you see when you see a marginal new high. It goes to the 886 and the 113. Sure enough, that gave us a new low. But this for me, from this, so this 2 waves down, and then this leg is an equal ABC on this long trend line. So that's just like one more kind of confluence. I thought that it might squeak a little bit lower on the news. Pound really loves round numbers and down to 130, but here is the trend line, obviously back from March, so third touch of the trend line. So third touch of the trend line, for me, I always expect like a false break, but then it to stay within the trend line. So because of this ABC, I think that we could retrace 50% of the entire decline. So that's going to take us, let's just measure where we come out here. Yeah, 131.88. So let's see, 50% of the drop. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at because of the ABC in the pound. So yeah, I was desperate. I must be like everybody else. I was waiting for this euro flag to break down as well. Everything I had said it would. So this bounce is a bit of an irritation. I'm looking for the pound back, the euro dollar down to 114. So sell rallies in this one, I think, still. So yeah, that's what anyway.
And I shorted a little euro up at 78. I'm just kind of sitting in it. I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to do at this point. I don't think this number is like a horrible number either. That we just printed. I mean, it's not.
No.
It's just
It'd be painful for Trump fans though. So.
Right.
Revision also was 60K higher than the previous print, so that's.
Was it?
It still is.
Yeah.
There's so much other news going on. It's almost like this isn't the kind of most important thing, isn't it? The Fed and the new Fed chair and tax, and there are so many other things going on. So I was going to look at the euro pound actually, because I think that the euro pound is the thing that could be the dampener on, if I can find it. So yeah, the euro pound, this rally here, again from this 23.65. So this could be what kind of holds the pound down. Feels like the pound, every kind of Brexit news, it gets sold, and then every time nobody's talking about Brexit, like now, it rallies. So, it'll be good until the next bit of bad Brexit news comes out. So this euro pound, I think that got really strong resistance. See, euro sterling loves the 886 fib. So I think this decline, now that we've taken out these lows, probably 89.98. That's where the pound will have a better chance once we get up there. So I'm expecting something like this. this one. So we'll see. We'll see what it does. So haven't really got anything else. You know, the euro strong dollar looked pretty nailed on this morning, and now it's all a bit up in the air, isn't it?
Yeah, I just closed my euro dollar short. Just took a few 10 pips out. I'm just you know, it's like not really too sure what to do at this point, because the euro is holding, but at the same time, you know, the dollar is looking a little weaker. You know, I'm not sure how equities are going to respond here. Gold's come off of its highs too, which, you know, so I don't know. I'm just kind of now I'm just kind of
I was looking at the Swiss franc for direction. You know, I kind of had it above the 61.8 fib. I thought we could keep going higher. I think the problem with the 61.8 fib is if we reverse here, we're liable to a drop back down to the 38.2 before we continue higher. So
yeah, it's a big deal. We've been like
everybody out, and it's, you know, the big round number one parity level as well in the dollar Swiss. So
yeah,
that's not going to help the euro.
Right. We're just kind of floundering around that level quite a bit, so it's interesting. Yeah, and you know, I want to see how stocks respond here. You know, the stock market is actually, you know, still holding on to its gains. You know, we still look strong in equities.
Can you think of any scenario that you would bet that stocks would go down, Blake?
Not at this point, but you know, it'll change, and you know, we're gonna you know, have the exact opposite idea when it's going down, and it won't stop going down. We're gonna be
absolutely.
Like,
but you know, guys,
right now,
yesterday Grega said that we could possibly have a failing rally in the S&Ps. You know, either or, we could still go to new highs, and we're getting kind of an anemic candle in S&Ps right now. It's anemic. Probably around, as Nick said, 78.6.
Rally in the DAX for me is pretty close to resistance too, so I think we are quite close to pullbacks levels. This week has been extraordinary, but I always think, you know, markets that rally early in the week or early in the day or early in the month are usually, that's like the setup move, and then the bigger move the other direction happens. So that could be what we're seeing the start of this month too. The first couple of days of the month and non-farm payroll, they are, I think, 5 or 6 times more likely to be the high or the low for the month than any other day of the month. So where we end up today would be quite interesting.
That's a good observation, Nick. Thank you. Steve, is there anything that you're looking at in particular?
I actually got triggered short the pound at 131.15. I had an order since yesterday because we've seen some lows during the past few days there, and I was also monitoring this price action as a triangle. So personally, I'm not convinced that the data we got today is a reason to sell the dollar. I'm also still long USD SEC and in the money. So personally, I still don't see the reason to be short the dollar here. I don't see any reason that these numbers will be like a shock to the dollar's recovery for now. But of course, you know, the market always decides what's true and what's not. This is just, you know, a personal thesis.
Right. Well, like I said, guys, I'm not sure what I want to do. I think I'm gonna step out because I'm gonna get ready for my trading day. I'm gonna see if I can find anything on the crosses by listening to you, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Nick.
Yeah, I'm listening into Steve too. He's always got some good ideas.
Okay, let's have a look at things then. Let me grab the screen. There we go. This screen. Okay. So let's see what we have. First of all, as you said, the stocks for the time being look completely numb, so they've done absolutely nothing. So there's not much to see here. Even DAX, for example, is flat for the day. Same applies with FTSE. So there is nothing new for us to see in the stocks. So let's have a look at FX. First of all, Blake covered this. I totally agree with this thesis. Actually, overnight, we almost tested 74.40, and we tested the bottom of this zone. For me, this is a critical zone, and as long as Aussie stays below it, there's absolutely no question in my mind that it remains bearish. On the other hand, Kiwi is resuming its rebound, but my target there is also, I mean, recovery target is 69.70. So there is, you know, there is absolutely nothing to make me bullish yet, just because we had a few days up. If you remember, I had mentioned explicitly some days ago that I expected the Aussie Kiwi to move lower because I believe that Kiwi had underperformed Aussie by a big margin, and I thought that it's Aussie's time to do some catching up. So we are now getting back down to levels that are quite interesting to me. 110.25, it's a little bit lower. Even this area that we're currently testing might provide some support for another push higher. We're going to see that next week. I don't expect anything much more happening here this week. Now, having to do with the DXY, Blake showed this as well. As long as we remain above 94.20, I mean, this is what I had drawn a few days ago, that a possible pullback down here is, why not? I mean, it's possible a retest of the neckline, but as long as we don't break below it, I really have no reason to be looking lower. I mean, what I see here is a very strong move higher from the dollar that we had, and then consolidation, which a consolidation which actually is sideways. So I have no reason to interpret this sideways consolidation as a bearish move, and I'm not doing so. If I see, you know, a breakdown lower and below 94.20, of course I'm going to change my mind. But until then, I see just a flat consolidation. But by the way, Nick, I muted you because there was some sound coming in. Make sure you unmute yourself if you want to speak again. I'm just letting you know. Okay, yeah, let's have a look at the USD yen. I know a lot of people, obviously it's one of the most popular pairs. For me, nothing has changed here as well. It's already paring back some of the prior losses. We created a triangle, we broke above the triangle, we came down, we retested the triangle and the 113 support zone because it has been resistance over there at a daily closing basis. And as long as we stay above it, for me, a move higher towards 116 is more likely than not. Okay, because that's the direction of the recent trend. I mean, we've been trending higher since the early days of September. So, you know, why would my main thesis would be to look lower, since we haven't yet had any technical breaks to the downside. So, although I'm not committed here, and I wouldn't want to have a position long or short, but if I was forced to have a position, it would definitely be long. I mean, I wouldn't even consider it. But for me, you know, there are better opportunities out there. I mean, USD yen has been quite slow. I'm just looking at it because, you know, of other yen pairs, etc. For the time being, I don't see something really interesting. So the reason I shorted cable, by the way, which I didn't do, I didn't take this initiative today. I put an order yesterday, I said to the chat room as well, is that if you see this 113.15 area, is, you know, on one hand, you know, it's this triangle, because I can interpret this as a triangle as well, support, broken support as resistance. On the other hand, it's also, we had some lows over there. So I'm seeing this as a 1, 2, 3 or A, B, C. You know, we discussed it with Gregor yesterday. We also exchanged some opinions of if this is an ABC or a triangle for a B and a move lower for a C, but it doesn't matter because both interpretations show lower, and that's why I wanted to gain some exposure as well here. So for me, I do believe, of course, that this area is strong support, so I'm going to be very nimble with this trade. But on the other hand, you know, especially given yesterday's day, I want to gain some exposure to the downside, and you know, I'm gonna see how it's going, and you know, act accordingly. Having to do with USD SEC, I mentioned it some days ago. I'm long from 834. I'm gonna keep this. I'm already seeing an overshooting of this ascending channel, and the fact that this consolidation has just been drifting higher gives me the reason to believe that perhaps we will have one more leg higher before even going lower. Anyhow, this is half a position because I was also open to the possibility of a move lower to add another half before higher. So, you know, that's what I think about USD SEC. Now, having to do with the Euro USD, it's already giving back its gains. We're now having a spinning top. We're still holding this head and shoulders neckline. So I think nothing has changed here as well. I mean, I'm inclined to be looking lower until proven that this is not what we should be doing. So that's it more or less with the basic pairs. But I know we have a lot of questions for crosses, etc. So let me have a look here. Only 127 major support. It would be a running correction, says Ronit. I'm guessing this is about the USD CAD. 50k upwards revision. Yes, Stelio said that we had a 60k upward revision actually for previous NFPs. And let me just say that the 60k revision is more than upward revision is more than how much we undershot expectations today. Just to put things in context, okay? Now, having to do with the pound Aussie, we can actually have a look on all the crosses. Pound Aussie, it broke above. It plunged below, so you know price action is becoming more choppy. It gave us a new high, so this is likely a deeper correction. I wouldn't be involved at the moment, but I can tell you that even if we do something like that, you know, I would still remain biased to the upside as long as this area is holding. We also have the 200 DMA here. It's horizontal support resistance zone. So I know that pound Aussie has become quite choppy. So you know I wouldn't want to be involved with it because I would rather be involved with the pound Kiwi because the pound Kiwi has been cleaner. Okay, we got a break higher. That's exactly what we had drawn when we were making this triangle. That perhaps we get a test of that major resistance and then a pullback, or I remember having said specifically that there is a more bullish scenario that we're gonna test this area, break immediately above it, and then come back to retest this area. So that's exactly what I had drawn back there, and that's exactly what we did. We got rejected to the pip from the 127.2 of this move lower to the 127.2 extension. We're pulling back to perhaps retest this area. If we hold here, I think this is extremely bullish. I'm actually contemplating, I might be buying the pound Kiwi early next week. I don't want to add another position here on a Friday. I don't think it's going to move too much anyhow. I'd rather see how we close the day as well. I would even be rather willing to buy it a little bit lower at 187, the highs of this triangle. Because I think that a break lower from the breakout level might trap a lot of people short before then, you know, heading higher. So I'm really interested to buy this if I see a nice reversal, even if we go lower towards 187. Okay. Pound CAD, sure, let's go. Pound CAD. Okay, pound CAD gave us this very nice inverted head and shoulders formation. Blake had spotted it first, but it currently seems to be breaking, you know, below the neckline once again. That does not necessarily mean that it's outright bearish. I'm going to explain why. Because yes, that invalidates the possibility of an inverted head and shoulders scenario, but it doesn't invalidate the possibility of this being a move higher, a triangle, another move higher, and then perhaps we have one more leg higher, but it remains to be seen I would definitely not like to see a break below 166 roughly. Otherwise, you know, it's a false move higher. Definitely, I wouldn't want to be committed to this at the moment. I didn't buy the breakout. I don't know why. I didn't like the. I mean, I know why. I wasn't so convinced about the reward to risk ratio because I would need to put like a stop loss somewhere there, and you know, the upside that was left, having moved already, I don't know. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel good, so I didn't do that. CAD yen back in play. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, most likely than not, since it got me stopped out. Yep, it might as well be. It might as well be. But I definitely want to see a break above this horizontal resistance area. So, you know, before saying that, I can tell you one thing for sure, and I was looking at it two days ago. This here, this formation from a candlestick perspective was a morning star formation. So this is a reversal pattern. And that also happened from the 61.8 of this move higher. Okay, so I mean, the area from which the pair reacted higher is a good one. The momentum it has showed since is good, but I want to see a break higher from this resistance area, and perhaps I'm going to be interested to get involved again, like something like that. Okay, so I'm going to be looking to buy into it as well if it fits the criteria. Okay. Martin, that's a good point, and it's a good thing, you know, looking analysis in that perspective. I always do that as well for consistency. I mean, I check myself. Martin says, "Hi Steve, you mentioned pound Kiwi better long than pound Aussie, but you see Aussie Kiwi lower, if I understand correct, so it doesn't make sense." What you're saying is right, but I have to remind you that I was very explicit days ago when I was saying this, that in my opinion Aussie Kiwi was probably going lower in the short term, and as you see, I had even drawn that. And if you heard me today, I said that I like the area of 110.20, which is just 40 pips lower. Perhaps even this area can create a reaction higher. So what you say is extremely consistent, but you misinterpreted my view on the Aussie Kiwi because I was seeing the Aussie Kiwi for a move lower, but not for a reversal lower and become bearish. So my thesis for the Aussie Kiwi is clearly still a bullish one, but I was expecting a correction lower, and I said that when we were around there at 112 and change. Okay, and you know, I was right about that. Now I can't know in advance if I'm going to be right that it should find support rather soon and moving higher again, but that's what I think is the likeliest scenario. So, you know, even under that scope that I remain bullish in the medium term, it's also, you know, a reason why I think that pound Kiwi is a better trade. Big weeks, UJ is leaving behind around 113.50. Looks like it wants 115 no matter what. Luca says, look, I agree with you. I mean, I still see this as as you know, there it is. And you're absolutely right. This is the second consecutive lower wick that we're seeing. Of course, it's early in the day, but you remember I warned very, very early after the numbers. I said it immediately. I would not be selling the dollar just because of the numbers we got today. I don't see anything really bad in the numbers we got today, actually. I mean, even as I said, even the revision we got from previous month covers, more than covers, the undershooting that we had today. And I think the market will end up focusing once again in the unemployment rate, which is a staggering 4.1%. I mean, it's extremely low. I know that it's in big parts due to the lowering in the participation rate, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, we've seen it time and time and time again that the market has just gotten used to seeing the participation rate tick lower, and they don't really, you know, they don't really care so much. USD NOK, nice flag. Let's have a look at the USD NOK actually. Yep. This price action in the USD NOK definitely does not look in for now as bearish. It looks more like a consolidation that might even break higher before testing this 8 area again. But it might move lower towards 8 again. But I agree with you. I mean, just it's what we've said plenty of times. Just look at the last bullish candle we had in USD NOK. Okay, it took us from below 8 to 8.17 almost. Okay, and now we've spent already 6 trading days, and we haven't even retraced like a third of it. So, you know, why would you want to be short? You don't. Oh, my pleasure, Martin.
No guests today, Steve, so you have unlimited time.
Oh my God. That's something you should never tell. No, I'm kidding. Okay, by the way, Euro USD has already turned negative, and I think that the bear flag scenario is absolutely valid still. Absolutely valid. And actually, you know something? Now that we have all the big numbers and expectations and central banks out of the way, I would not be surprised if next week dollar picks up, because there is no real obstacle for us to make another move higher, another leg higher, now that we've broken above and held 94.20. Actually, let's have a look at the DXY once again to see how the daily candle is. The daily candle is already becoming a hammer, and you know we've held this tight range, and after a bullish move, it's the same thing I said with the USD NOK. We had a very big bullish hammer here, bullish candle here, and then we've been going sideways for 6 days. I think that the next move higher is more than likely, I mean, in comparison to the next move being lower. Okay, as simple as that. Let's see what other questions we have. Pound yen. You're wondering, Luca, if pound yen has already bottomed. Let's have a look at it. I'm not very sure about the pound yen. You know, sometimes you see structure and you don't really like it. This is the situation here. I mean, I expected a retest of this area and a move higher, which happened, but the way this price action is being evolving, it's very choppy as well. So despite expecting a move lower, a test here, and a move higher, and despite that happening, actually, I have to tell you that the overlapping nature of this price action, I don't know, man. I mean, doesn't inspire me to be long. It doesn't. It doesn't, and especially if you see at this formation here. So, in essence, now I'm neutral. I want to see how this thing is going to evolve. This is an evening star formation here. And the very,
maybe
very
that high is the top of B, and we have a C to the downside.
Yes, exactly. That's how it feels, Dale. That's how it feels. It feels like it wants to do one more. You know what I mean? One more move lower. That's how it feels. But I know that it doesn't fit very well with the rest. Although perhaps I'm currently short the cable. Yeah, I'm currently short the cable. So perhaps we see some weakness in the pound, and USD yen remaining more or less, you know, where it is, and that, that might create something like that. But I don't know. I mean, put a gun to my head, I'd probably be short, but I'm almost at 50-50. I don't want to commit here to anything. I don't even have a strong opinion. The only thing I can tell you is that the nature of this move higher is troubling for me, because it's not impulsive. If I saw impulsive move here, I would be all over it, because it rebounded from what I expected it to do. Yeah, USD-ZAR. Sure, let's have a look at it. Perfect. USD-ZAR is acting like a champ. I mean, look at it. I expected, if you remember when we were down there, I had drawn this, that I expected, you know, another push higher and then a correction. And there is even a chance that the correction is over. We don't have confirmation yet. We need to break somewhere above there. I mean, depends on how you draw it. But for the time being, it looks like a very healthy bull flag, although you can never, you remember we repeated that yesterday and we agreed with Greg on that you can never be sure in the nature of a corrective move until you see it unfold. So perhaps, let's delete all that. So perhaps we can even get rejected once again, go down here, retest that once again, then move higher. Okay, so, but I can tell you one thing for sure. This move looks corrective. Okay, so I don't know if we're going to immediately break to new highs from here, but I can tell you that the highest probabilities is that this move is corrective and also bodes well with the previous moves. Okay, higher correction, higher correction, high, you know, and that's all coming out of a likely large bottoming formation. So USD-ZAR might have a lot more to run. So I definitely remain bullish. I might be actually buying it again. I've bought it 2 times already, and I was like to make money on both. So it's been treating me well. So why not give it another stab? Martin says, I agree with you, Steve. Dollar higher next week and bear flag in Euro USD. Yeah, I think it's the likeliest scenario from what I see on the charts now. Look, also Euro Yen for a break of 132.70 could see a nice move lower. Let's have a look at the Euro Yen. Yeah, you know something, Euro Yen has become more complex. So this is what I was watching for another break higher. I can tell you one thing for sure. The Euro Yen at the moment is in a range. Let me draw that.
Yeah, but a break, well, I think Luke is looking at for a break of support would take it down to your 129 level.
I agree, but
yeah.
As long
but
as
it
this
could
range,
rally, yeah,
as long as this range persists, and there's no question that this is a range. Why? Because we had multiple tests of this area support held. We had a double top, for the time being double top, being formed up here, and we're currently exactly in the middle of this range. So
yeah, kind of a weak bounce though after those 2 big down days.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you that the bounce so far is weak. So if I was absolutely forced to be something in the middle of this range, I would currently be short. But I would rather see a break below this area, because I think, as I had drawn back there, that if we do break below this area, then we're going to come down and test this area. Okay, so I think it's better to wait for confirmation here.
great job, Steve. Great job.
Ronit is also sharing a chart at.
Oh yeah, show Ronit.
Pound yen. Let's see.
Oh, that's a conservative chart for Ronit.
I know what you mean. Yes, I see what you're seeing, and somebody can easily say that this is a bearish formation for another strong move lower, and that might be the case. But this is a very long-term chart. I mean, you zoomed out a lot, etc. So that doesn't mean that we don't have another move higher before that happens. But anyhow, as I said, pound yen looks to me at the moment quite complex. I mean, the rebound is definitely not impulsive for the time being. So anyhow, I think next move might be lower anyhow. But still, I think in the larger formation, we still have a lot of room to move before we actually can talk about a breaking down there, you know, for making this perhaps an ABC at a very, very large scale. Crude oil, sure. Let's have a
nice look, Ronit. Thank you, buddy.
Okay, crude. Crude got rejected from the 55 area, and it might be doing today once again the same thing. I think this is a very healthy area. We had a triple confluence of resistances to give us a pullback likely I would want to see it likely go back to 52 and change, 53. Okay, so I would definitely not be buying crude up there, but I would be buying crude lower. Okay, so that's what I think with it. Euronoc, Andy is asking for Euronoc. My pleasure. Let's have a look at it. Not bearish, I can tell you that much. I think it wants at least another test of this area. I don't see anything bearish at the moment here. On the other hand, if you look at the longer term, I don't see anything bullish as well. I mean, this price action from the lows here is definitely like not strongly impulsive or whatever. But in the very short term, I think that it might push higher once again. I think it's not a good chart at the moment. I mean, I wouldn't be doing anything here. I might be looking to sell it up there. I might be looking to buy it down here. I'm talking now what I would be doing if I needed to trade it at the moment. So this is what I would be looking for. This is a good area to be buying because the reward to risk is good. And if we push higher once again and test this area, that might be a good area to then see a bigger move lower. That's what I think about the Euronoc. Dow, S&P, Nikkei, DAX. As I said at the beginning, I would love to look at them with you, but nothing has changed today. I mean, we've been doing nothing. The S&P is holding this steep ascending channel for the time being. So, you know, as long as that's the case, the chances are higher for another leg higher. But, you know, I think that, you know, a correction is around the corner. So I would definitely not be buying up here. I'm actually short, but I mean, even if I had no position, I wouldn't be doing anything with it up here. Chances are for another move higher are higher, obviously. Nasdaq, let's have a look at the DAX. Okay, let's have a look at the DAX. The DAX is at resistance. It's first of all at this channel resistance, and even if we penetrate above it, the 161.8 at 13,617 is a good area of resistance. I believe that the DAX should push higher rather soon because this is already a large move. But you know, you can never be sure or pinpoint, you know, when a reversal is coming, even for a corrective move lower. So until then, you know, you have to remain bullish. But I'm telling you that we are testing one resistance level here, and another one is quite close. So obviously, buying up here makes not much of sense. Now, having to do with the FTSE, I think that the FTSE looks good. I mean, it gave us this large move higher, and this move lower looks clearly corrective. So, you know, any move down somewhere there, maximum, I think it's probably a good buying opportunity. I might be buying the FTSE as well, by the way. I want to see what happens next week. The Dow, okay, you said the Nikkei. Let's have a look at them as well. Dow. Dow is also in an ascending channel, as you see here, and it's holding it quite nicely, right? Higher for the time being, but also I think it should roll over rather soon for at least some kind of a type of a move lower. So, you know, nothing to do here until we actually see a signal that it's rolling over. And now having to do with the Nikkei, we are at 127.2 and this channel resistance. Same thing applies here as well. I would expect that some type of a move lower should unfold rather soon, but this move has been completely berserk. It's 100% parabolic. So, you know, you can never be absolutely sure where it's rolling over from. But let me say the following: I doubt that, if I would short it today, I wouldn't find myself in the money within the next few days. You know what I mean? This move higher has been incredible. It's one of the things you very rarely see. I mean, I said it the other day. %17.5% higher in 40 trading days.
I've never seen a bigger throwover on a wedge in my entire career. Really, you know, you can't even call it a throwover.
No, you can't call it a throwover. Exactly. It's insane. It's insane. I mean, even if you see the angle of this ascending channel, it's nuts. It's completely nuts. This move is crazy.
Parabolic.
It's out of the book, honestly.
It's like Bitcoin.
I mean, just look at the RSI. The RSI is consolidating at levels above 80.
Yeah.
It honestly, even the RSI readings, it's exactly what you said. What the recent move in Nikkei has brought in mind to me is cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
It's of that kind of magnitude. Speaking of cryptocurrencies.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay.
You know what? The Nikkei's throwover looks bigger than Bitcoin.
Yeah, but you know, I don't know what to say about cryptocurrencies. I know that this is not going to end well for many people. For many people, I was reading like yesterday that only one of the exchanges of Bitcoin added in one day 100,000 new accounts.
Wow.
You know,
they may end up in the crypt, and we all know what a crypt is, right?
Yeah. Since it's a Greek word, yeah, I do. For sure.
Ronald's looking for 8,100.
You know something? I don't know. I give up.
That could happen tomorrow. You know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know.
You want to wrap it, buddy?
Let me see if we have any Kiwi yen. Yeah, let's have a look at the Kiwi yen. Methinks people will have to rethink the BOE outcome. 7.2 voters, inflation not letting up, PMIs beating, and Brexit negotiations accelerating in December. Deadline for phase 2. I'm with Nick and Stelios. Positive the pound. Yeah, look, I'm not looking to be short the pound like for eternity. You know what I mean? Anyhow, I'm not. Let me put it simply. I've said many times that I'm not biased along the dollar in the medium term. I am looking for a rebound in the dollar, but I'm looking for that to fade. Precious metals, Euro, Aussie. Oh, we have quite a few more questions. Okay, let's have a look at those and wrap it up.
Andy, I have a special guest for you if you're a grain person. I have Angie Setner, and her Twitter handle is @goddess_of_grain.
Can you?
So I love the grains.
You're going to be the best host if you actually manage to bring William Shatner.
Oh, well, oh yeah. Okay. I'll beam him over here.
I have some Star Trek questions for him, okay? Okay. Nothing really to say about the Euro Aussie. I can tell you two things for sure. One, it's still crafting higher lows, and that's the most important element for an uptrend. But the rejection after pressing to new highs and these 2 consecutive days lower, you know, have been quite strong. So although I have no reason to tell you that it's bearish because it's not higher lows, as I said, I would want to see it break once again above this horizontal resistance before actually looking higher once again. Did I stop sharing my screen?
No. Did I do that? I'm sorry. Because I was going to show the homepage. I probably did that to you.
Okay, because something happened. Okay, yeah, but you're not showing any page at the moment.
Okay, this is the important page.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Were you through? I'm sorry. I thought I could do that and have you finish, and that I wouldn't interrupt you.
No,
But,
no,
you know,
no problem.
great coverage. Everyone thanks Steve for great coverage. I think he covered about 10 million instruments today.
Yeah, we can see the rest on Monday. Anyhow, I
Okay.
don't expect any crazy price action to.
Yeah, you guys would miss
Well,
Steve if you didn't. You would miss him if you didn't see him every day, wouldn't you? He keeps you straight. Okay, you too, Barry, Luca. Everyone, have a great weekend, and make your weekend greater by investing $1. I know the dollar's strong, and it's going to get more expensive. So if the dollar's heading up, it's even more of a bargain to buy it today. Spend that dollar now before it gets expensive, and then you get 10 days. But if you really want to become part of the family, go for 6 months so that you could be in the chat room. And Amanda's keeping an eye on things to keep things great. And there's tons of ideas. The trading day is young. Stock market hasn't even opened yet, right? So going into the other chat room, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of scalping opportunities shared by people that don't do this for a hobby, but this is how they feed their family. So with that, and having the ability to feed our families and have a roof over our head and have good health, I remind everyone not to just count their pips, but count their blessings. And thank you, everyone, for your support of what we're trying to do. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll kill them next week. Right, Steve? Okay, everyone. Adios. Have a great weekend.